Did you know that behind every great idea, there's an even greater story? And behind every masterpiece, there's an artist who risked everything to bring it to life. Have you ever noticed how SpongeBob can go from 0 to 100 in 1 second? One moment, he's happily flipping Krabby Patties. The next, he's frothing at the mouth in a psychotic rage. Have you ever wondered if that manic grin hid something sinister? Look closer at his eyes. Do they shine with childish glee, or do you see the hollow stare of someone disconnected from reality? Welcome back to our channel, where we uncover the darkness that lies beneath the surface of everyday life. Today, we re-diving into the depths of Bikini Bottom to reveal the disturbing truth about everyone's favorite fry cook. Are you ready to face the nightmare that awaits? If so, brace yourself and join us as we explore the unsettling reality of SpongeBob. But don't forget, this journey will forever change the way you look at this iconic cartoon. Hold on to your pearls, folks, because we're about to dive into the murky waters of SpongeBob's mind. Our first stop on this psychological deep dive is SpongeBob's own mind. Now, SpongeBob might seem like the picture of health and happiness, but under the surface, there's a storm brewing. You see, SpongeBob is a walking, talking case of schizophrenia. Let me explain. Have you ever noticed how SpongeBob often talks to himself? Or how he seems to have conversations with imaginary friends? He's not just having casual chats with sea creatures. No, sir. SpongeBob is reaching out to voices that only he can hear, whispers from a fractured psyche that pull him into a world of delusion. Then there's the hallucinations, those bizarre episodes where SpongeBob sees things that aren't really there. Remember that time he saw a giant ice cream cone chasing him through town, or when he saw a talking banana peel? These aren't just whimsical daydreams. They're glimpses into the fragmented reality that SpongeBob calls home. Hallucinations are a common symptom of schizophrenia, a condition that affects how a person thinks, feels, and behaves. In SpongeBob's case, these symptoms aren't just part of a wacky cartoon. They paint a clear picture of a mind struggling to hold on to reality. Now, some of you might be thinking, come on, it's just a cartoon. How bad could it be? Well, let me tell you, schizophrenia is no laughing matter. It's a serious mental disorder that affects millions of people worldwide. Symptoms include delusions, hallucinations, and disorganized thinking, which make it hard to distinguish reality from fantasy. For SpongeBob, this means living in a world where he's constantly battling the demons in his mind, trying to piece together a reality that's falling apart at the seams. But wait, there's more. Have you ever noticed how SpongeBob often seems disconnected from what's going on around him? He might be in the middle of a conversation, and suddenly he'll stop responding, his eyes blank and distant. It's like he's not there at all. That's another sign of schizophrenia. Negative symptoms that take away motivation, emotion, and drive. For SpongeBob, it means that sometimes he just shuts down, unable to connect with others or even care about the world around him. Living with schizophrenia is like walking through life with a heavy weight on your shoulders, a constant struggle to keep your head above water. And that's what SpongeBob does every day. He wakes up and puts on a brave face, trying to hide the darkness inside. But sometimes, when the voices get too loud and the hallucinations become too real, it all comes crashing down. Next, let's turn our attention to Patrick's star. At first glance, Patrick seems like a harmless, if somewhat dim-witted, starfish. But when we dig a little deeper, we find a character whose struggles mirror a real-world condition, Down syndrome. Now, I know it might sound strange to compare a cartoon character to a genetic condition, but trust me, the parallels are striking. You see, Patrick's slow reactions, his difficulty expressing himself, and his need for constant reassurance are all symptoms of Down syndrome, a condition caused by an extra copy of chromosome 21. This genetic variation affects each individual differently, leading to a range of challenges in areas like learning and social skills. And that's exactly what we see in Patrick. Remember that time when he couldn't figure out how to put on his shoes, or when he needed SpongeBob to remind him what he was supposed to be doing? These aren't just funny anecdotes. They reflect the real struggles faced by those with Down syndrome, who often face challenges with everyday tasks and decision-making. But Patrick's story doesn't end there. He's also constantly ridiculed and mocked by the other characters, especially Squidward. And that's another similarity to the Down syndrome experience. People with Down syndrome are often subjected to ridicule and discrimination, which can have a devastating impact on their self-esteem and mental health. For Patrick, this means living in a world that doesn't understand him, a world that laughs at his struggles instead of offering support. It's a sad reality, but it's one that many people with Down syndrome can relate to all too well. All right, now let's set our sights on Squidward Tentacles, the grumpy neighbor of SpongeBob. At first glance, Squidward seems like a typical curmudgeon, just a guy who hates fun and wants to be left alone. But when we peel back those layers, we discover something much darker, a crippling fear of joy itself. You see, Squidward doesn't just dislike laughter, he's terrified of it. And that's not just a quirky personality trait. It's a serious psychological condition called cheirophobia, an extreme and irrational fear of happiness or joy. Imagine a world where the mere sight of a smiling face sends you into a panic, where the thought of laughter makes you want to hide. That's the reality for Squidward and many others who suffer from cheirophobia. For Squidward, this fear manifests in some pretty extreme ways. He actively tries to sabotage any chance of fun or happiness in Bikini Bottom. Remember that time he poured sand into SpongeBob's mailbox, or when he pretended to be sick to avoid attending SpongeBob's birthday party? These actions aren't just mean-spirited. They're desperate attempts to escape the overwhelming dread he feels when confronted with joy. Living with cheirophobia is like being trapped in a prison of your own mind, where the bars are made of fear and the locks are forged in the fires of anxiety. It's a terrifying reality, and Squidward faces it every day. Finally, let's talk about Eugene H. Krabs, the owner of the Krusty Krab and SpongeBob's boss. At first glance, Mr. Krabs seems like a gruff but ultimately harmless old crab. But under that tough exterior, there's something much more sinister, a heart as dark as the abyss. You see, Mr. Krabs isn't just obsessed with money, he's consumed by it. His avarice knows no bounds, and he would do anything to get more wealth. Remember how he tried to raise the prices of Krabby Patties, despite the risk of losing customers, or how he exploited SpongeBob and Patrick for their work? These actions aren't just greedy, they're symptoms of a much deeper problem, a condition known as avarice, an intense and selfish desire for wealth or material gain. For Mr. Krabs, avarice isn't just a passing fancy, it's a full-blown obsession that drives every decision he makes. He hoards his money like a dragon guarding its treasure, never spending it on anything other than what he sees as necessary for his business. But avarice takes a heavy toll on those around Mr. Krabs. His obsession with money blinds him to the needs of his employees, friends, and even family. He's willing to exploit anyone if it means lining his own pockets just a little bit more. And that, my friends, is the true nature of Mr. Krabs, a man consumed by his own greed and lost in a world of his own making. So here's the big question. Was SpongeBob SquarePants ever just a children's cartoon? Or was it always a reflection of the darker aspects of the human psyche? Now, before you answer that question, remember that life is unpredictable. It throws curveballs when you least expect them. Your job, security, relationships, and financial stability can change in an instant. When faced with these challenges, your primary instinct is survival. You cut costs and tighten your belt, right? Well, imagine facing these challenges every day, not just for yourself, but for your entire team. That's the daily reality for business leaders. They must always be prepared for unexpected events. Whether it's a sudden economic downturn, changes in consumer behavior, or disruptive technologies. Without the proper tools, navigating these challenges can feel like flying blind. That's where our sponsor comes in. They offer a suite of advanced analytics and planning tools that help businesses forecast future outcomes based on current trends. Their software allows you to simulate thousands of scenarios, helping you make better, data-driven decisions. With you, can navigate uncertainty with confidence. Whether you need to forecast sales, manage risks, or optimize your supply chain, has you covered. Take your business to the next level today. Well, folks, our deep dive into the disturbing truth of SpongeBob SquarePants has come to an end. But the questions we've raised will hopefully stay with you long after the credits roll. Remember, beneath every laugh, there's a shadow lurking, waiting to be acknowledged. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep seeking the truth. And whatever you do, don't forget, you'll never look at SpongeBob the same way again. Thanks for watching. See you later.